We all know nutritional deficiency in early childhood can have debilitating lifelong effects. The same is true for brains, except words are their nutrition. Every word an adult speaks to a child sparks the growth and development of neural connections, called synapses, that are the basis for lifelong learning. A child who's not spoken to regularly and with love will never reach his or her full potential because he or she hasn't formed the synaptic density. There's no amount of schooling, brain training, or formal education in later life that can make up for deficits experienced in these early years. My niece, Olivia, is 5 years old. She comes from a professional family. Based on statistics from scholarly research, that means Olivia heard roughly 45 million words by the time she was 3 years old. Knowing my sister, it was probably a lot more than that.
Compare that with Iñaki, a 1-year-old boy living in the slums of Mexico City. I met his mom when she was 19, pregnant and homeless. Statistically speaking, Iñaki will only hear 15 million words. 2/3 fewer words than Olivia, simply because he was born into poverty. The word gap is massive, not only in size, but in impact. At 18 months old, children living in poverty are already 6 months behind their peers in brain development. These effects are felt for life. The word gap causes disparities not just in vocabulary size, but also in school readiness, long-term educational and health outcomes, earnings, and family stability even decades later.
To be effective, any solution targeting the word gap must educate parents on the importance of talking with their kids, deliver tools to facilitate such interaction, and incentivize their adoption. Our analysis of the competitive landscape revealed that though there were a plethora of educational resources aimed at children or parents, there is an alarming lack of resources directed at both parents and children, and that those resources are prohibitively expensive or otherwise inaccessible. We see this whole as a huge opportunity.
We are Educuento, and our ultimate vision is to be the name in interactive educational media for children 0 to 6 and their parents. At scale, when we've realized our vision, Educuento will be a TV show, radio program, website, application, and others, but we want to start with the minimum viable product and build from there. Maintaining a laser-like focus on our target population, we start by utilizing only media with greater than 90% penetration in urban slums, radio and mobile phones.
Our radio show consists mainly of engaging educational stories, crowdsourced from the community, and hosted by a panel of educational experts who will use the stories to illustrate different parenting lessons and techniques. We chose to use stories as the basis for our educational media because, since the beginning of time, stories have been used for that purpose. As humans, we learn best and enjoy it the most when lessons are presented in story form. We decided community source the stories to ensure that they are culturally sensitive and relevant to the audiences we wish to engage. How do we get the stories? In the beginning, we will employ a small stable of story gatherers whose responsibility it will be to source stories from their communities, and from then on, we will depend on submissions made by calling our story hotline.
Each show begins and ends with the reminder that talking is teaching. Words are a gift you give your child for free, and nothing can make them richer. At the close of each show, we offer questions and suggestions around which caregivers and children can interact. For example, today we heard a story about a man whose curiosity led him to do an amazing thing. What are you curious about? What questions do you wish you could answer? Who could you ask, or where could you go to investigate the answer?
At 3 different times during the show, we will pause and ask the audience to vote via text message what the character should have done in that situation, then comment on the responses to the poll in the next show. For every answer a parent texts, we will deposit 5 cents into an educational savings account the parents can also make deposits into for their child. The amount is trivial, but it doesn't matter. Studies have shown that having a single dollar in a college savings account makes a low-income child 4 times more likely to go to college than his low-income peers.
Finally, we will deliver high-quality, age-appropriate developmental curriculum direct to parents' phones, every day at no cost to them. Via SMS or voicemail if literacy is a problem. We will deliver ideas and suggestions for 1 hour's worth of high-quality interaction between caregiver and child. The curriculum is related to the radio show and recommended by the educational expert behind Talking is Teaching. To sign up for the program, all you have to do is text your child's age to a short code, like a phone number except shorter, answer a few quick multiple choice questions, and from then on you basically have an educational expert in your pocket.
If you have questions about the information or even questions about raising your child in general, For a small fee, you can hit reply, text your question, and receive an answer from an expert within 24 hours. A recent study by Stanford University proved the efficacy of text-based intervention on closing the word gap by comparing the children of parents who received thrice weekly text messages encouraging them to talk with their kids, compared to a group who received no text messages. After only 8 months, the children of parents in the program were 37% better developed than their peers in the control group, the equivalent of 3 months of additional education.
How are we going to measure impact? Statistical sampling and parent surveys. For responding monthly surveys tracking the child's progress, a parent receives a valuable food coupon. So how does it work financially? We have detailed projections, but I'll review basic logic at a high level. We generate revenue from 4 sources. Here's a breakdown of our primary cost. At scale, we generate enough profit to sustain our expansion.
Speaking of expansion, we start in Mexico City because it has the world's largest urban slum. Expand down to South America because of cultural proximity, then move to Southeast Asia because of our team's expertise in the region.
Now for the coolest part. Almost 100% of what we're proposing has been tested and proven effective, both technically and commercially. Our partners have experience in doing exactly what we're asking them to do and are the leaders in their field. We're the right team to execute on this vision because of our subject matter expertise, complementary functionalities, and commitment to social entrepreneurship in education. As a team, we speak 7 different languages and have a native speaker from almost every country critical to our expansion.
Finally, we're doing this for Iñaki.
He deserves better.
Where and to whom you're born shouldn't determine your chances in life.
Help us close the word gap to give 10 million children the futures they deserve.